When you use variables in expressions, they're called algebraic expressions. And it's really important for you to be able to write and interpret algebraic expressions, especially when you're solving word problems. Now, the key to writing an algebraic expression is to break down your statement one bit at a time and think about what each part means. So, for example, in this statement, I have 2 less than 4 times a number. Okay? I don't know what this number is. This number is my unknown. It's my variable. So I'm going to pick a letter to represent this number. So my x is this number. And I want 4 times that number. So I'm going to do 4 times x. Now I could put a little dot in here to mean multiplication, but I'm going to show this just using the 4 and the x side by side, because when you have a number and a variable side by side like this with no symbol in between it, it means multiply. So now I've written 4 times a number, but what I really want is 2 less than that. Well, that means I'm going to have to subtract 2 once I get my product of 4 times the number. So this shows 2 less than 4 times the number. Now let's look at another example. This says the sum, which means addition, of a number, again, my number is my unknown, and 6 divided by 2. So I want the sum of a number and 6. Well, I don't know what my number is, so that's going to be my variable. And I want the sum of a number and 6. So I'm going to add 6 to this number. So the sum of a number and 6 means x plus 6. And then I want to divide this by 2. But when I read this, the way it says a sum of a number and 6, that tells me I want to find the sum first. So I'm going to have to put parentheses around that so that I make sure I do my addition before I divide it by 2. Because otherwise, order of operations without the parentheses would be 6 divided by 2, and I don't want that. Another way I could write this without the parentheses is I'm still going to have my sum of my number and 6. But instead of using this division symbol, I'm going to use a fraction bar, which also means divide. So both of these show the sum of a number and 6 divided by 2. This one doesn't need parentheses because we have to get a single number on top before we can do this division here. Now let's apply this to some word problems. Delaney and Ryan are studying for their math test. Delaney studies for twice as much time as Ryan minus 15 minutes. So what we're going to try to do is figure out how much time Delaney studied for. So the first thing I want to do is define my variables. I know that Ryan studies, let's make that a lowercase r. I know that Ryan studies for some amount of time. So r is going to be the time that Ryan studies. And I know that Delaney studies for twice as much time as Ryan. So I can use this letter r as the thing I don't know and write my algebraic expression. If Delaney studies for twice as much time as Ryan, that's 2 times however long Ryan studies for. But it's twice as much time as Ryan minus 15 minutes. So I also need to have a minus 15 here. So twice as long as Ryan minus 15 minutes. Now once I have my algebraic expression, I can use that expression to solve my problem. Right here it tells me that r equals 42. Remember, r is the time that Ryan studies, so I know Ryan studied for 42 minutes. So I can plug that in here and do twice as long as Ryan. So that's going to be 2 times the 42 minutes that Ryan studied, and then I have my minus 15. So order of operations, multiplication comes first. So that's going to be 84 minutes minus 15, which means that Delaney studied for a total of 69 minutes. And the last thing I want to do is figure out what my solution tells me. This 69 means that Delaney studied for 69 minutes. So Tyra goes to the store to buy some cookies and some soda. One box of cookies costs $3, and a bottle of soda costs $5. I want to write a problem that will tell me how much money Tyra spends at the store. So again, the first thing that I'm going to do is define my variables. I know she buys cookies, but I don't know how many boxes of cookies she buys. So C will be the number of boxes of cookies. And then I also know that she buys some soda. But again, I don't know how many bottles of soda she buys, so I need a variable for that also. So I'm going to use S to equal the number of bottles of soda. Bottles of soda. Now, once I know my variables, it's time for me to write this expression. I'm looking for the total cost. So what I want to know is how many boxes of cookies she buys, but they're $3 for every box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do $3 times however many boxes of cookies she buys. And then I'm also going to do $5 times however many bottles of sodas she buys. And because I want her total cost, I'm going to add these all together. So once I have my expression, now we need to evaluate this problem. If she buys 2 boxes of cookies, I'm going to put that information in here, so it's $3 times the 2 boxes of cookies. And if she buys 4 bottles of soda, it'll be $5 times the 4 bottles of soda, and then we'll add this all up. Now 3 times 2 is going to be 6, and 5 times 4 is going to be 20. And I'm going to add these two amounts together, and I get 26, which means that solution tells me that Tyra spent $26 at the store.